What's up everybody, it's Brandon Baker from Black Dog BBQ, and today I'm teaming up with Charbroil Grills to cook up some tequila-lime chicken quarters. Let's check it out. Chicken quarters consist of the thighs and the legs, and they're one of my favorite cuts of meat to either grill or to smoke for a couple different reasons. Number one, they're very cheap. You can get them at the store from anywhere between about $1.59 a pound to $1.99 a pound, which is what I picked them up for today, which still is a great deal if you compare that to a lot of other cuts of meat out there right now. Another thing is they're incredibly fatty, so they got a lot of really good flavor. I'll show you in a minute, but there's a lot of fat underneath the skin here when you're talking about those chicken thighs and those chicken legs. So we want to make sure we can crisp that up a little bit to make sure you get that nice crispy skin that you're looking for. In addition to that, if you think about a breast, for instance, a chicken breast, you tend to cook those to about 160, 165, and then they start to dry out a little bit. You don't necessarily have that problem as much because there's so much fat there with your chicken quarters that there's a lot of leeway. So it's a very forgiving cook. Oftentimes I'll take this upwards of 180, 190 degrees, whereas you'll take those chicken breasts, like I mentioned, off somewhere around 160 to 165. Now, chicken quarters can be cooked a variety of different ways, whether you're smoking them, you can do a traditional grilling method, you can braise them. Today, I'm gonna do more of that direct heat, traditional grilling method. It's one of my favorite ways to go. It's very easy for a weeknight meal. It's really very easy to do in general when you're talking about chicken. The main thing that I always like to do when I am grilling chicken, especially over direct heat, I wanna make sure that that grill temperature is about 300 to 350 degrees. That's the sweet spot for me. You can go a little bit higher, but you do risk burning the outside of that chicken a little bit. And if you go below that, that's where you start to risk potentially getting a little bit more of that rubbery skin, which you want to try and stay away from if you can, just because it doesn't necessarily help the fat render as much as you'd prefer it to. So I like to go around 300 to 350 degrees, which is what we're going to do here today with this cook. I'm also going to be using a tequila-lime mop sauce, which we'll walk through here in just a second, but that just kind of helps to add additional flavors throughout the cook. So let's go check it out. All right, so here we have a chicken quarter, right? And so as we talked about earlier, you've got the thigh down here, you've got the leg up here, and there's really not too much trim work that we're gonna do. You'll see there's a little bit of fatty skin and just a little bit of flat meat here hanging out. We're gonna cut all this off. But what I also want to point out as well, there's a lot of fat underneath the skin. As you can see, where it starts to get a little bit whiter in here, that's a lot of fat that's on the underneath side of the skin. Now, if you're in a competition circumstance, for instance, with barbecue chicken, you would skin that off potentially underneath just to help get that crispier skin, but that's not what we're gonna do here today. That's not practical on a really day-to-day use. We wanna just do something very quick and easy that's gonna help the process, along with the fact that we're gonna be cooking these at a little bit higher temperatures like we mentioned earlier. So what I'm gonna do here today is I'm actually gonna score this just to increase that surface area to help that fat render a little bit faster. You could also get a meat tenderizer to poke holes in this. You could dry brine it, but today we're gonna score this just to help increase that surface area like I mentioned, and we're gonna give it a go. So I like to start on the back side here and just get this very easily seen part. Don't need to be too aggressive here. I actually just took off a little bit more than I wanted to, but we're just gonna discard this over here and just continue to trim this up a little bit with just anything excessive that you see. Whether it's a little bit of just excess meat flapping around, skin, fat, we're just gonna get rid of all of the excess. Backside is done. Just gotta trim this guy up. And that is it from a trimming perspective. As you can see, this is short, simple, and easy. You honestly didn't even need to do all that if you didn't want to. I find it helpful, so I went ahead and did it, but I'm gonna take a second now and I'll show you how we're going to score this meat. All right, so as you can see here, I just made a few nice little slits there in the top of the skin. You're really not trying to cut into the meat. I made a few errors there when I got a little bit into it. Really, you're just trying to cut that skin portion, just again, so you can help crisp up the fat in there. Now, when we're talking about seasoning chicken thighs, you can do this a number of different ways. Today, I'm gonna go real simple. I'm gonna do a barbecue rub that's got a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic. You could do, any really of your favorite barbecue rubs out there. I'm choosing to be a little bit more basic here because I'm gonna hit it with that mop sauce here in a little bit. That's gonna add a lot of flavor throughout the cook. So I just wanna make sure I get a nice base layer of that salt, pepper, garlic to start, and we'll further season it from there with the mop sauce. I'm just gonna pat that in here for a minute. I'm gonna flip it over and do the same thing to the other side. And whether it is chicken, whether it's beef, pork, doesn't matter. You wanna make sure you're getting all sides seasoned thoroughly. So those edges, which are always a little bit more difficult to get, just gonna rub around on the cutting board just to pick up those additional seasonings. And that way, it's just an easier way to get those edges all covered up. All right, now that I got this guy seasoned up, we are going to let it sit for a few minutes. I want that salt to start to pull some of that moisture out. It's not gonna have a massive effect right now because I'm doing it right before we're throwing it on the grill, but still I wanna give it about 10-15 minutes so that rub can adhere. Meanwhile, we're gonna turn on the grill. I'm gonna walk you through a few features and we'll take it from there. All right, so what I'll be cooking on today is Char-Broil's brand new Pro Series 3 burner gas grill and griddle, right? So the way I have it set up right now, it's just going to be your traditional grilling approach. One of my favorite things about this though is its versatility. There's a griddle attachment that covers just about half of this cooking surface, and you do have 535 square inches of cooking surface on the primary grates, as well as 200 square inches above if you wanted to use that. The other thing that it has as well, which we're not going to use today, but I'm a big fan of, is it's got a charcoal insert so that you could use this as not only a gas grill, but a charcoal grill as well. So a lot of awesome features. In addition to that, you've got the side burner on the side. This is where we're going to be making the Tequila-Lime Sauce while our chicken's on the grill. So we'll get to see that up close and personal here in a minute, but this is what we're going to be cooking on today. So I'm going to light this up and we're going to get started. All right, so our grill is going just above 300, about 325 degrees right now. I actually only have the burner on the left side set. I turn the middle and right burners off so that we can have a little bit more of an indirect cooking zone in case we need it, just if that grill starts to get a little bit too hot and we need to move the chicken over. But now that this is hot and ready to go, we're gonna add our chicken. All right, we're gonna let this cook for a little bit and we'll come back and check on it in 10-15 minutes. All right, we let this chicken go another 15 minutes and we are about to flip it again. It's starting to get a really nice crispy skin on that top side that we flipped over. So we're gonna check that out and let it finish cooking with that skin being top side up. Check that out, it's starting to get nice and crispy on that top side. All right, so let's take a look at how we are going to make our Tequila-Lime mop sauce. And I prefer mop sauces because they add a ton of flavor in a cook. If you break down kind of how we're going to be making this mop sauce and the different components of it, we're going to start with the butter and then the onions and garlic. And what that butter does is that's going to add a lot of flavor, right? A lot of fat. Fat equals flavor. So definitely want to have that in there. Then the second part of this that we want to add that really helps to amplify all the flavors in any sauce, and something I always try and add, is acidity. You're getting acidity from two sources here. You're getting it from the lime as well as from the tequila. Beyond that, we've got some great flavors coming in with that creole seasoning as well as the cilantro there at the end. All right, now we got those onions and garlic going. I'm gonna add in some creole seasoning in here, just a liberal amount. It does have some salt, but we're gonna add a touch more as well in here. We're gonna mix that up. Now the side burner is great because it cooks things in a hurry. It's really pretty powerful. And so this is only gonna take a couple minutes here to saute the onions and garlic before we add in the rest of our ingredients. Time to add a little tequila. It's gonna cook down again for a couple more minutes and then we are going to mop those thighs. All right, we are 35 minutes in and I'm about to give this one more mop. This chicken's not gonna take too much longer to finish up, so we're gonna get this going and finish up the chicken from there. These chicken quarters have been on the grill for about 45 minutes and I can tell just by the color, they're just about ready to go. I'm gonna flip these over one more time and we're gonna get these off the grill. All right guys, as you can tell, that color is perfect. We've got a nice crispy skin on the outside, so we're gonna pull these now. All right guys, we're back, and just to summarize, we just took these chicken quarters off the grill. They were cooking for about 45 minutes. Once that internal temp hit around 170 to 185, depending on the piece of chicken, we decided to go ahead and pull these off the grill. They had a nice color on the outside. Can't wait to dive in. Oh my goodness. Guys, I wish you could taste this. This is so good. That tequila lime mop sauce on this chicken did wonders. It is so tender, it is so juicy, and this is just packed with flavor. That is so good, guys. Every bite is just so juicy. See, this is why chicken legs and thighs are some of my favorite things to eat. All right guys, thanks for tagging along. I hope you guys enjoyed this cook, and if you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already to give us a follow. But until that time, we're wrapping up today's video. We'll see you guys next time. Make sure to tune in for more.